then it just becomes a mode of like, well, let's not talk about serious stuff. Let's just focus on fun stuff.
It's very ironic for this podcast.
Right. Well, but that was why when you asked me before, I was like hesitant because, you know, as much as I have those conversations for better or worse with friends, the serious stuff, I'm not used to, you know, it being available to
expressed to a lot of people.
Yeah, expressed to a lot of people. That's one of the reasons why, like, the comedy I do is always, well, it's not always. I have some more serious songs, but it's hidden, right? I can bury it in lyrics and abstraction.
I hear you, and I understand why, because a lot of comics actually get kind of uncomfortable with this. They don't realize, like you've watched it.
Yeah,
so you
I watched a handful of them.
You know what it is, and you understood kind of what you'd be getting into. There's a lot of comics who are like, they don't watch it, and then they're like, oh, it's a comedy, we're fucking joking. It's like, no, not this one.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. That's why also, when you ask me like, okay, what would we not talk about or what's off limits? Like, I wanted to be thoughtful about it, but I also didn't want to be limiting because it's like giving myself outs.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that to you. I didn't want to do that. Oh gosh. So clumsy. Wait, are we started? Has it started?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's happening.
So I thought, wait, so we do headphones now?
Okay, a little bit of updates.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Wait, time out.
Yeah.
Real quick before Happy New Year.
Happy New
and
Year.
I wasn't going to do it like on the Happy New Year. I wasn't going to do it because I meant to after I asked you about how boxing went.
Yeah.
I was going to say Happy New Year because it's like fresh.
It's fresh.
2025.
The corny like New Year, it's corny, but I think sometimes it's good to lean into corny.
Yeah, it's a good energy.
Yes.
I get corny.
So
I get cheesy. People know.
Context was getting burnt out. There was getting burnt out coupled with having technical issues. There's about 5 or 6 episodes that are never going to come out because of tech issues. And one of them was my favorite. I'm going to ask him to come back on, but St. James.
I love that guy.
He had
he's so good.
He had one of my top like 3 episodes, and I couldn't. The technology fucked up.
Is it just you couldn't hear it? Like the audio was bad?
It kept crashing every time I would try to upload it. It kept crashing. I couldn't edit anything. It was a mess. And
I have a strange relationship with technology, so we'll see how it goes. Wait, we're not live. That's we're not live. I keep looking like we're live.
We're good. I mean, as you can see here, they can't see it, but you know, I'm ready.
No, this is great. This is fantastic. Thank you again for having me. You have, I think sometimes. Okay, so we've interacted at shows and over time. Now, some of it is some of it is a struggle for me overall, like being newer in Chicago, because every other friendship and relationship I have with people in whether it's California or Seattle or other places I've lived, they've known me for so long. And so if they're still around, like if they're still my friends, they kind of get it. And so it's difficult meeting new people in general, but then also being like, oh, wait, like, are they going to put up with these things about me or sharing things with people? And just so all of that is new. And one of the things about our, friendship or, community comedy scene thing is like you have like this tremendous like calm.
Okay.
That I've gravitated to, and this was actually before I found out that you were from. Are you from California? Like, were you born in California?
Born and raised.
Because there is a West Coast energy, and even as I say the word energy, people are like, "Oh gosh," you know what I mean? Like, the use of the word energy is a West Coast thing, and I've lived most of my life, not my whole life, because that's why I'm also a mess. Is because I was born in Florida, but I know, right? But yeah, so you have like just this energy, this calming. So that's the other reason why I was like, well, I got to go on this show at some point, just because of you.
Thank you.
You soothe.
I kept hearing that. It's funny because internally I'm such an anxious, angry person, and so when people tell me that, I'm like, because I've heard it over and over again, and I'm like, oh, I take it as truth because I keep hearing it. It must be the case.
It's good. You're doing well.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Believe me, I I reference sometimes the Hulk, that I Hulk out, and people in Chicago, people who've only seen it maybe once or twice or whatever, or not at all, they're like, oh, how is that possible?
Yeah.
But I'm always hiding from the full moon.
That's something about you, because I don't doubt your sincerity or your sweetness or anything, but anytime I meet somebody that is very sweet, and I'm like, there's something in there.
No, it's me.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, but it's also like, no, it's me. But I mess up too. There are times at the Comedy Bar during a show, because I'm the poor man's Andy Richter, poor man's, whatever, poor man's.
Yeah.
I interject, and sometimes I'll interject with something that is not typically me, just because it's raunchy or whatever, or crass, but it's in the context of whatever conversation is happening, and I get strange looks, and then I feel really bad about it because I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. When it comes to, sorry, I'll stop talking because you have a question. You have a real question.
This is gonna be fun. So you're born in Florida, and then so can we get some origin here? You're born in Florida.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but you'll just do the math. Because when I start doing the math, people are like, oh, wait, you lived here? Yeah, so I was born in Florida, which somebody once told me, they're like, no, you weren't. And I was like, what? But they were like dead serious. They were like, you were not born. Because I was born in Fort Lauderdale. You were not born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I was like, yeah, I was. And they're like, no one is born in Fort Lauderdale. That's where people end up, is Fort Lauderdale, which is true.
So you escaped Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, well, I moved when I was like 5. But what's interesting is whenever I go back, which isn't very often, I have some extended family that still lives in that area, like Sunset or Sunrise or whatever. Sunset. I have some family that still lives there. And whenever I go back, it's kind of amazing how just, again, energy. Like, it feels like it makes sense when I go back to visit, even though I moved away when I was 5 and only went back a handful of times over the years, and I've lived lots of places. I had a friend who talked about, the difference between, where you live and home, what feels like home, because she had lived in places that didn't feel like home, and so she was searching for that feeling, even if it didn't mean going back to, where she was born. And so I do feel kind of like a piece when I've visited, but I've lived lots of places. So yeah, so at 5.5, we moved to Colorado Springs, which is funny because I talk to people about Colorado, or now that I'm older and know that it's hyper conservative. I mean, that's why they That's why they ran us out of town.
I didn't know that.
Evidently it is. I mean, maybe people at home, maybe they know, but I didn't realize that or learn that until much later on. It's just about 70 miles south of Denver. So we'd go. That's why there's a handful of comics I talked to about Denver sports, because that's when I got super into sports. So huge Broncos fan, huge Nuggets fan. That was before they had the Avalanche, ironically. Do the math. But yeah, huge Nuggets fan, huge Broncos fan. So from Colorado, we moved to Seattle, and so most of my life I've lived in the Seattle, the greater Seattle area.
So a good deal of the adolescence.
Yeah, from age 15 to 26.
Okay.
I lived in, and all jokes aside, that's where I grew up because I was doing some work growing up. But old enough to go to rock shows and start bands, and I went to college in Bellingham.
Okay.
And so that was where living, my first job, all of that kind of real living was. No offense to running around in the scrub oak, or playing 500 with friends.
500
football in the streets, or basketball stuff. Colorado is a great time, but to me, that's where I really started growing up and being a person.
And where did the music come into play?
Seattle, just going to shows all the time. I remember being at school in high school and finding out that somebody. Now this was after. Now I was into music, So when we moved to Seattle, it was the other. It was like the other side of like the Nirvana wave had crashed.
Oh, okay.
The Pearl Jam wave, I mean, hasn't crashed yet, but you know what I mean. Like all of that stuff had happened, but finding out that there were kids at my school who were in a band and they were playing a show tonight at this teen center was just like the most wonderful, weirdest.
Were you always
thing ever. So we just started going to shows all the time, and that became my life.
Were you, when you were going to these shows, were you thinking like, oh, I wish I could do that? Or
well, so since I was a little kid, I mean, for as long as I can remember, I've had this voice in my head that just, hi.
Oh yeah,
sorry,
that's the creature. You want to pick him up? You can.
You know what's funny is I love animals, but I give them their space.
Okay.
And like if Creature was like, hey, you want to go hang out later tonight, maybe get a slice of pizza, I'd be like, bet, let's go.
Gotcha. And you can pick up on his
But
energy.
as far as like, you know what I mean? If Creature hops up, like I'm not going to freak.
Right.
But, you know what I mean? I'm not going to shove. But I like to especially cats, I like to give them their time. I mean, you know, anyway, so in case you're wondering why I'm not engaging, it doesn't mean that I don't love
the creature. For context, whoever's listening, there's a cat. There's a cat down there.
There's a cat. So I've had this voice in my head that just says, I can't. I can't. And so because of that voice, for the longest time, I did a lot of like, I was an audience member for a long time, and that was good enough because that made sense to me. I enjoyed it. I believed in the scene. I had friends in bands. I supported them. I participated how I could. I put up shows, but it took a really long time for me to start a band with friends because in the back of my head it was like, and this is somewhat similar with comedy, like as a kid, like I loved comedy and watched funny things, and now I, you know, always getting in trouble in school and sent out in the hallway for talking in class and trying to make people laugh, making family members laugh. But in my head, it was like, well, that's something that someone else does. Some of that might have been the Colorado thing, because when you're in Colorado, like LA and Hollywood is so far away, even like Seattle and music and like bands, like that was so far away. So Seattle put me in proximity to that, and certainly going to college and like my friends in high school who were in bands and starting to go to shows and like, oh, I know them. So it put me closer to it. I think that's what helped eventually. But I still always had this record playing of just like, you can't, that's not something you can do. It's something that other people do. So
if you don't mind me asking, how were your parents raising you? Because that sounds that I hear you in terms of proximity. I hear you.
Yeah.
For sure I hear you. But that also sounds like someone who was raised to not try to take risks, maybe?
I think if I, you know, to think about it for just a moment and then answer it, I think what that has to do is the expectation of real jobs or like real, you know, because I was raised, because my mom was anyway, I was raised primarily by, well, I mean, I had two grandparents who were very close to us, and then there's my brother, and then there's my mom, and so there were dads, but it was primarily my mom. So just for context of that question of how I was raised, and so my mom was super supportive, super loving, incredible. But I think the dynamic was you have to have a career, and you have to go to college. And you have to have a serious job, otherwise you'll starve to death.
Oh, yeah.
Or you know what I mean? And so that has to have played a role in the idea of like, well, that's something you do for fun. Like that's entertainment, but that's not something you would pursue.
Right. That's not a hobby. It's like how a lot of people don't realize that to get into stand-up comedy, you go to an open mic.
Yeah.
And the idea of that is weird how it'll be in your right in your backyard, but you don't understand that. I hear you.
And I think ironically too. Excuse me. You're right.
Yeah.
I have a cough drop if you need it.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, just let me know. Let me know. Have them pocketed.
Thank you, Mr. Hexagon.
I think also in the back of my mind I knew that it needed to be comedy. It's not that I didn't, because I eventually was in bands and it was serious. I did a lot of yelling.
Is there video of this?
I don't know if there's. No, I don't think there's any video. There's some pictures somewhere of me screaming into a microphone.
That's wild. Okay.
Oh, I think I posted something to my Instagram of me, because it was recently. My brother found it, or my friend Josh found it. He played drums in the band, and my brother was on guitar, and I yelled.
Fun stuff.
Anyway, so yeah, there's pictures. I don't think there's any video.
Okay.
Not that I've ever seen. Because that was before there was video. It was back in the day, 60 seconds per frame, or what is it, 22? The golden age of rock and roll. Anyway, so what were we talking about? The expectation was that I'd already had this thing playing in my head. You can't do things. You can't do the things. And then the expectation of white collar job to survive.
When was the moment where you were like, I guess I'll try this?
There's a couple of combinations of things. I remember where I was. I can picture my hands on the steering wheel. I'm driving. I had left a show. I was living in Seattle because I graduated from Western, which is the university in Bellingham.
So you're about 24, 26?
23.
23.
Something like that. 23-ish, depending on summer. But I had driven up to see friends' bands play because I just shows all the time. And I can't remember if my friend was in the passenger seat or if I had this. I had to have the conversation with myself first, but I was like, I wanted to start a band. And I knew I wanted to ask my friend Josh, and I knew that I was tired of I was just done being on the sidelines. It takes me a really long time to do those things. Same thing with teaching. I was a substitute teacher and a long-term sub and a summer school teacher before I knew, I want my own classroom. I need my own students so that I can help them grow and get better, and we're doing that together, and I see them every day, and it's us. It took me a long time, even though I knew that's what I wanted to do. So similarly, now that I think about it, I had just gotten to a point where I was like, no, let's make this happen. And my brother plays guitar, so we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I want to participate. I want to create something. So yeah, I remember where that was and when that was. And then thankfully I asked my friend Josh and my brother. And so we started writing songs.
And
a song. It was a really long song. Anyways, it's complicated.
And so how long did the band last? Because I know that's a hard thing to keep together. The fact that any band lasts longer than a year is insane.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So the other night I saw this band, 90 Day Men, and they haven't played a show in 18 years. They got back together, did a reunion show. Technically they're from St. Louis, but they live a lot of their lives in Chicago. And so I'd never seen them before. But yes, there are some bands that I like that have stayed together forever, or they were once together, now they're kind of getting back together, whether it's for paycheck or they miss each other or the creative thing or whatever the reason is. That band didn't stay together. I mean, your brother and your friend who's like a brother, it's not easy. People when they're young, just any people, humans, are a mess, right? Right, Creature? Humans are a mess.
What is he doing over there?
Just chilling, kind of roaming around, just circling the boat.
All right. And so then when did comedy come into play?
So I was in another band that was, I think it's one of those things. I think I started an affair with a keyboard. Not like that. Come on, comics. But I was in another band, this band Cardinal, with two friends, a different band after them. And I think that was starting to kind of fall apart. I'm only saying that now as I kind of think about it. So I started a side project. That's the joke about the affair. I remember I asked my granny, I was like, can I have your keyboard? And I don't know how to play keyboard, still don't, as some of you have seen. And she wouldn't let me. So then I bought a keyboard, the same keyboard that I use now, I bought in a pawn shop in Seattle. And just started messing with. There was an album. There were a couple musicians that kind of influenced me, and one of those albums, it was under the title Self, Matthew McCaffrey, this musician. He released a CD that was like with toy keyboards and stuff. Super incredible musician, but the whole album was done with like toy drums and toy keyboards. And so that whole I can't started to kind of blur, where it was like, well, maybe if I mess with some stuff, I can. The first Ron Hexagon thing I ever recorded was actually like a crooner holiday special, and I burned some of those CDs and gave them to friends, and then I started writing songs, like original songs, again with the keyboard I had bought, and then some other like toy keyboards I found at like thrift shops and wherever, however. And I just started writing songs, and then I'd make a birthday CD. Like I'd write some songs. One of them would be like a happy birthday cheesy song with a keyboard, and then some other songs would be just like original songs, and I'd give it to friends as a just as a birthday. Now some of that was me just kind of working out the creativity. Some of that was just like, oh yeah, let me share this with friends and stuff. And I didn't play now, to get to your question about comedy. They've always I've written serious songs, and I would eventually write more serious, kind of like heartfelt, sad songs, but they started very goofy from the beginning. And so this band I was in was serious. I'm screaming all the time, and it's very serious. And so I think messing with the keyboards was me kind of like pulling at or scratching at like the comedy piece of it, the goofy part. Never influenced by musical comedy. Now, I don't say that to disparage anyone. Now, since I moved to Chicago, there's some incredibly hilarious musical comedians in Chicago.
Such as?
Well, Scoochie Boochie.
Wait, do I not know this person? Who?
Scoochie Boochie is like, yeah, he's, well, self-proclaimed the greatest rapper, I think, on earth, in the universe.
Look this up. Okay.
So, just released his song, Rich Baby.
Scoochie, I'll find this on Instagram.
Lizzie Konecki does some musical comedy, spectacular. The Garden Boys, hilarious. I know I'm going to leave somebody out, so this makes me sad.
I think of Jamie Schreiner.
Oh, yeah, Jamie Schreiner. Yeah, Jamie Schreiner. Yeah. So good. And so nice.
Yeah, I'm going with her to Tennessee. I'm going to be her...
Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you referenced that song. I'm going to be her opener / bodyguard.
Okay. One of you or both of you needs to wear like a giant fur coat. Like I'm picturing just the dynamic of how you guys look together, like your look.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think she'll be in the fur coat probably.
Yeah. You guys could both rock it though. That's the thing. That's the thing. You're not just a bodyguard, but I do love the dynamic of you guys just strutting
like
around
leaning
town.
into the
just shades and like Lambos with the doors that flip open and stuff. It's so good. Just the picture in my head right now. It's like the future.
Yeah,
it's like you want to know what 2026 looks like. Okay, wait. What the heck were we talking about?
So,
because there was a thing.
It was a transition into stand-up comedy, and you are the
no. Oh wait, musical comedians.
Musical comedians.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's your interview.
Musical comedians.
So it's funny because like a lot of stand-ups would be like, hey, and it's a huge compliment to me because sometimes a stand-up will be like, hey, I really hate musical comedy, but I like what you do. And they whisper it too because they're not. And that's a huge compliment. Now, I don't disparage musical comedians, but when people will come up to me sometimes and they'll be like, you remind me of They Might Be Giants, or you remind me of Dan Deacon, or you remind me of whoever it might be, whether they're a musical silly or a musical comedian. I just was never influenced by that. How's my hair look with these headphones? Has anyone said anything? Hair and makeup, please. I wasn't planning on having these headphones on. My hair is a wreck.
Do you want to see yourself?
I just realized. All right.
What?
No, that's fine. I'm sorry.
No.
So I was always influenced by music.
Yeah.
Which doesn't. And again, the closest thing to that was Self, Matthew McCaffrey, Tennessee, who had that album, that serious album, but just with like toy keyboards and stuff like that. So So I was always influenced first by like bands and music,
and then
even if they were slightly off. But then the comedy came from me just wanting to express that. And then I don't know if we talked about it off air. Whoops.
You're good.
Keep doing that. Sorry. Yeah. But comedy to me is about escape. For me, what I create. I love all the kinds. I love all the kinds of comedy. But for me, what I want to create is cupcakes, cotton candy, tiptoe through the tulips.
We are very different, you and I.
No, that's fine, and that's fine. I love that.
Yeah,
right?
I'm looking forward to talking about that. Before I get to that, there is a thing where comics don't like what I think they would describe as gimmicks. Musical comedy, they don't like that. And then my own connection to you is they don't like it when other comics sit on the stool, and I'm a stool sitter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Why do you think that is the case? Is for musical comedy?
You mean why don't they like me?
Why? Why do you think stand-up comics, they see that in the knee-jerk reaction?
Guys, folks, we're just building a scene here. It's a community, comedy community coming together. Well, I will say, all jokes aside, but coming from bands and that scene, and again, I wasn't in a big band. I was around that so much with friends and going on tours, tiny tours, not. I remember my friend and I were going on tour. We're going to do a handful of shows up and down the West Coast, and we're basically loading up my Honda with Ron Hexagon gear and his acoustic guitar. And I remember we were at a party, and a friend was like, "How big's your tour bus?" And it was just like, she just didn't. It's not her fault. We were just like, oh no. Which I think similarly happens with comics who go and do shows where people assume.
Where do you perform? Great. It's like, what does that even...
Where do you perform? Or just like, I don't know, limos and fur coats. I'm in the Tennessee scene with you and Jamie Schreiner for show. But being around bands, like, has been a real transition for me because bands have a scene and they believe in that scene. And it doesn't mean everybody's perfect. But, like... First of all, you have to stay to the end of the show because you might not get paid. You won't get paid if your band doesn't stay. Plus, there's the loadout factor where it's like, oh, all our gear is over here, so we're going to stay to the end. But at its core, at its heart, is the other bands might be the only people in the audience. And so you stay, and you stand close, and you make sure they see you, especially because then they'll stay for you. And it is much more of a community feel. Now, at the same time, comedians have been super nice to me, even though as we're talking, like, you know, maybe they don't necessarily want me there or whatever. There is a scene and there's a community, but it's just different. It's just a different kind of thing. And I get that because it also comes up when I talk about this comic the other night. At this open mic, he had a bit about an improv class he was taking. And as he says it, I audibly heard myself, like out loud, accidentally go, shh. Because I was afraid for him. Yeah. Because the comics would turn on him. Now, here's the thing. Improv, one of my first loves, one of the first things I did before I knew cults were bad. No, but improv, one of my first loves. I love doing sketch. I love collaboration. I mean, that's the thing. Even my keyboards, people catch me talking to them. I'm not up there by myself. Yeah. But stand-up's traditional. There's a pride in that solo-ness. There's a pride in the writing. There's a pride in it's just me. It's me against the world. Even there's this interview that I really love that really helped me. Bob Odenkirk was asked about stand-up and like why he doesn't do it or why he did it for a very short time. And he said, I didn't like the adversarial relationship with the audience that stand-up created. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. But that really spoke to me because there is this sometimes expectation, especially now in the era of like crowd work, right? Mm-hmm. Where I agree with that. Like I'm at a place, or I've always been, where like I do want to just bring positivity, and I do just want us, like it is us. Even if it's us against the world, it's us. It's not me. So, but I understand, like, even in improv, like in the first class of 101, they tell you, like, don't try to be funny. Well, that's anathema to what a stand-up's goal is. Not just what they need to feed themselves, but what their goal is. Sharing, I mean, they don't play well with others because that's not the skill set. That's not what it is. There's a certain amount of stage time. There's a certain amount of shows. There's a certain amount of just all of it. It's just not the same. So I get it when stand-ups are not fans of the other. Anyways.
I think, to speak to myself, I think I feel a lot of parallels to your upbringing, but I guess just my own version of it. So
Sure.
I was really into music, but mine was like rap and hip hop and like battling.
Yeah. I know, I get that. Or I mean, I get
And so I think rappers are similar to comedians because it's generally speaking, unless you're in a group, like generally speaking, it's you and it's what you wrote and how are you going to outbest the other guy. And I love.
I'm nodding because I understand it.
Yeah.
Not because I can live that way.
I don't think everybody should. I think it's very unhealthy in a lot of ways.
Some of it's just because I have feelings. I'm fragile. Some of it is because, well, some of it's the full moon. Some of it's the Hulk out. Because people have asked me about being in roasts. People have asked me like to come to their roasts. And I straight up told Claire Parlett, shout out Claire Parlett, the greatest human alive. I was like, I can't go because I'll fight somebody.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? or who? I was saying this to somebody recently. I was like, yeah, I can't because like I know it's words and I know that like there's an agreement and for some people like doing a roast battle with somebody else like that brings people closer. Like I get it, but I can't get it.
I'm the same way.
And that's fine. Do it.
Yeah.
Do that thing.
Yeah.
But I also, I also the Hulk out thing and the like when I say things that have edge to them and bite to them, I don't like the way it makes me feel.
How does it make you feel?
Sad about my choices.
Okay. like it makes you feel like because you upset someone else.
Yeah, because I upset someone else, and even if there's the agreement of like, oh, we're joking, like it's not that I've never said anything to a friend that isn't sharp but joking. Like it's not that I never have, but at the same time, it just, I don't know. There's enough out there.
Yeah.
There's enough strangers messing with us.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to curse on this?
Are you fucking joking?
I can't remember. I can't even remember if I have yet or not. I can't remember.
I don't think you have.
Okay. Anyways, I almost did, and then I was like, wait, I should ask.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Anyways.
I think my intention here is to make you as comfortable as possible to express as much as possible.
Okay.
Whatever your most true self is. I know I've got you in a corner. This is an interrogation, but
no, it's fine. It's good. It's good.
When did So you're in Seattle. When did you move to California?
The year that the Seattle Storm won their first WNBA title.
A lot of breadcrumbs. I like this.
My lady and I decided we needed a change. We love people in Seattle, but we needed, for a myriad of reasons, we needed a change. We sat at this cafe and had a conversation. Like we had conversations before about our future together, but we had a conversation about Chicago or LA.
Okay.
And LA won. I mean, it didn't win. It was pretty much a coin flip, but we knew whether it was career things or climate things or just a change thing, we were going to go to either Chicago or LA, and we ended up in LA and Orange County. For those of you who were like, wait, get real. There are people at home who are like, you moved to Anaheim. I mean, it's literally a quote from Swingers.
Yeah, the people in Chicago have no understanding.
Yeah, no, we ended up in Burbank.
Yeah.
So still LA adjacent. I'm not gonna. I
hear you.
I'm only in character if I'm projecting strength. If I'm projecting tough. What is it? Year of the Rugrats.
Year of the Rugrats.
Pop, pop, pop.
I'm very happy that you see me with this shirt.
It's so good. I love it so much. You're funny. It's good.
I try.
No, it's really good. I'm nervous about the boxing, though.
Are you actually?
I'm nervous about the boxing.
Are you actually nervous about that?
I am.
Rachel. After I got I got punched. I'll show you the video. I got punched in the head by this like professional fighter.
Oh wait, did you post that?
Yeah, the video. Yeah, that was
Okay,
that was.
I watched it like this. I watched it like this.
I appreciate the concern.
But you got it a shot though, right?
Yeah, I
mean,
did. I tried to fake him out with my. I'm about to get nerdy.
No, this is good.
I tried to bait him with my jab, so he would come out and then go for the overhand right, and it worked in theory. He's still so good that he was able to adjust to it. But when you see in that clip when he comes back, he's like, "Yeah, that's good that you did that. I see what you did there." But I'm sorry, you're concerned for me?
No, it's just sorry. I'm concerned. I think some of this is the older I get, and then I don't have kids, but being a teacher and just like caring about other people, I get very kind of like I get very protective. I mean, I'm always protective. That back to like the roast battle thing where it's like, these are my peeps. Like, you don't say that. Like, you don't say that about them. How dare you? But it's also so that's some of that. But at the same time, like all jokes aside, all mothering aside, it's like no. I'm cognizant that you're doing it because it's important and it's necessary.
Yeah, very necessary for me.
Without getting too into it.
Yeah. So you ended up moving to.
So we moved to LA in Orange County.
Yeah.
Started our lives over again. Or I mean, it wasn't really like that, but yeah. So then we ended up living in LA and Orange County, Burbank and stuff for 5 years.
Water here if you want it.
Was this me? Okay, I wasn't sure. I don't like hot drinks. I mean, this is not a hot drink, but like when we were talking earlier about I needed to go get my coffee. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people out there that have said that McDonald's. Am I allowed to say that? We're not sponsored.
Yeah, well, we'll be all right. I don't think enough people watch for McDonald's to give a shit.
If you get a cease and I have a song that has a reference to a Star Wars, has a Star Wars character in it, and there have been times when silly me has been like, wait, should I change that? And then it's like, if I get a cease and desist letter,
something good's happening.
Then something would be happening. So I'll just wait until that happens. What were we talking about? I don't like hot drinks. Now I'm required by law if I'm in Seattle to drink a tea.
Is that a thing they do out there?
No, but just coffee in the Mecca. I'm not a big hot drink person. Now, when I was back in screaming bands, I would drink hot drinks because you have to.
What is the lack of appeal to the hot drink versus the cold drink?
It's too hot. I burn myself.
Yeah. I hear you.
No. I don't know what it is. Well, some of it is because I don't like coffee. I don't like the way it tastes. So then that's that's most of it. And then tea, I don't know. Some of it is just my soda addiction.
Right.
Pop.
Which I wrote that. We'll get into that.
Oh, we will?
Yes, we will.
Okay, wait. So we're in LA in Orange County. We're just trying to figure it out. I this is before I was teaching. I wasn't teaching it. I started kind of dabbling in it, but I'm working on a Hollywood video. And
wow. Okay.
I know. Do the math.
More context.
Working on a Hollywood video, helping close a lot of Hollywood videos. And I had yet to perform this side project toy keyboard stuff. I'd been recording stuff and burning stuff and sending it to people. Not standing on corners at Jack in the Box trying to sell them.
Do they have Jack in the Box out here?
No.
Yeah,
no, but just that hey, a $5 CD, you got to buy this.
Yeah, I know the game.
I wasn't doing that, but like I had recorded some cassettes and stuff, and so.
Oh shit! Sorry,
but I didn't. No, that's right. Oh, is that right?
He just jumped on me and was using his claws.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, it's rough.
He's good. He's just existing.
Shout out to Jim. Okay, so, I went and scouted out an open mic for the first time in Costa Mesa, California, which is in Orange County. This great place called the Gypsy Den. They don't use the word gypsy anymore. The Den, and just a great. Now here's the thing, because I came from music, it was a singer-songwriter open mic. It wasn't even a stand-up open mic. Now, I'd still get up there and do a song about pizza.
Oh, is it the same?
I would still...
Stop.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You want some?
Yeah, they can't see this at all.
All right, sorry. That's fine. The cat was dead the whole time. So then I started. So then I was hooked. This place was great. The host was great. But it was all singer-songwriter stuff. But then I'd get up there with my keyboard and do goofy songs. Mm-hmm. Some songs that are still in rotation are songs that are origined. Show the cat. Just proof that just proof that episode where they spoke to shadows.
Yeah.
So that was when I first started doing open mics, and that was really great. And then I met my friend Steven, and we started doing little tours. We even started doing a separate project called Peacock and the Bow, which I think this is the first time, because just characters, comedic songs though, in character. And so that was another kind of like nudge into comedy, because then we started performing as those characters at UCB in LA, just on like their open mics. And then I was doing sketch and improv at UCB in LA, and then not only doing like the grad shows for those, but also doing they would have this IO West, rest in peace, would have what's it called, like a cage match, but a sketch cage match. So you could put up sketches like an open mic. It was great. So you'd write a sketch, you'd get on the list, you'd put it up. And so anyway, so we would do that. So there's lots of comedy. That kind of shifted the comedy. I was still doing Ron Hexagon, but it shifted it. It was getting closer and closer to comedy then.
Sounds like your trajectory was watching music, getting into music, that music slowly turning into stand-up comedy with music.
Yeah, and again, this is just a blend of like being into bands and being into music, but then when I was creating it, it just was comedic to me. It made sense to be, that's who it was. And I think that's the other thing too about Ron Hexagon is like, it's not a character, it's me. So that's why to me it makes sense. And to me it also makes sense to have goofy songs that now that I'm in Chicago, I just show up and hope they let me go up.
What? Because I know you've said this a few times, that your ultimate goal is escapism. That's your angle when it comes to comedy and performing. What is it? What is it about? Why escapism specifically?
Well, I think because we have a lot going on already in our lives, and like things are difficult, and like to me, distraction is the only thing that keeps me going. Well, I shouldn't say the only thing. It's love. But distraction is crucial. Even now, right? I mean, like I deflected, right? I've spent my whole life, whether it's self-deprecation, which I know isn't big anymore, although I'm big still. Self-deprecation comedy, like that has kept me safe for my whole life.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, when, I mean, it's the age-old, well, if I make fun of myself first, nothing you can say will upset me. If I admit to the issues that I already have, you're not exposing anything. I know it. And if I say it out loud, I don't know, maybe it
takes the sting off.
Maybe it takes the sting off. Maybe it's just kind of like, if it makes people laugh, that's the other thing too. And self-deprecation comedy, that's why I alluded to that it's not big anymore. I've had friends since moving to Chicago be like, don't say that about yourself. And I've had to have like, hey, I kind of need this. This is my morphine drip. Is I make fun of it. It's okay. It's safe to me. It makes sense to me. Now I don't do it as often, because if it doesn't make you laugh, because that's the other thing too. Like, I know stand-ups talk a lot about pandering, which I had to like look it up, because I would hear it and I'd be like, you mean like doing things to make the audience laugh? Because to me, and again, to me, I'm in service to them. Like if we, and it's, I mean, I really am. Now I know some of that pandering conversation. I parse it. I get it. It's like, no, but like, are you challenging them? Are you challenging yourself? Are you writing smart, thoughtful things? Because there's comics that I love, not only like locally or just big time, who are like, no, like I'm gonna say something horrific, and I'm gonna find a way in for all of us to see it in a different way. Like I get that's what comics. I believe that's what comics are saying when they're like, well, don't pander to the simplest. And they have that improv too. Like, speak to the highest intelligence. Don't just go for the lowest common denominator. It might get a laugh, but what is the value of that laugh, and what is the like big picture of that laughter? So I get that. At the same time, in 3-minute increments, let's just have fun.
Right.
I mean, Cyndi Lauper, like, let's do it. Let's just have fun. And even in that, like, I don't know how into sports you are, but a lot of times they'll interview a player after the game. Like, you scored 50 points. How does it feel to have scored 50 points? Or they'll talk about an MVP. And it's like, well, my individual stats are great, but like, if we didn't win, well, to me, it's like, if we had fun, I bet it was because something was funny. You found something funny. So it is a little bit the chicken and the egg, right? Because to me, if you ask me, is funny important? Yes. But fun might be more important.
Ooh, that's interesting.
But the good news is, I believe, like with that sports analogy, right, is like, if Giannis scored 50, I bet they win. If Shaq had 15 rebounds, chances are they won. So both can be true together. Both can be part of that. So if we have fun, we had to have stumbled upon funny at some point.
Yes.
So that's where sometimes cupcakes win over Shakespeare.
Okay, this will be interesting because I'm.
Do I know what I'm talking about?
I will give so. Where will I begin with this?
I know. Sorry, there's a lot. I say a lot.
No, you're good. Because I don't think you're wrong, and I think.
But
it's
for me.
It is for you. Yes. For me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume that the yes.
I think that's also what happens, right?
Okay.
And again, I don't want to say the word tolerance because that seems a little heavy, but like, there's no comic that goes up that I say, no, you don't belong here. I believe that whatever you need to do up there, do it. Now, getting back to the loyalty and the friends thing, like, don't
hurt my friends.
Yeah, don't hurt us.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to get to it.
It's complicated.
So when I say like, well, this is for me, that doesn't mean that I'm saying the other things shouldn't happen, or that I disagree, or I'm marking you off, or discrediting what you do. It is that thing of like, whatever you need, go do that.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
So anyway, sorry. That's why I do stress the like. Well, for me.
Yes. So I want to stress that as well with my statement.
Right.
And first, I got to ask: when you say self-deprecating, are we talking about your weight? Was that a big thing growing up?
Why?
Shut up.
Yeah. No, I've been a big kid always.
Was that like?
Although I look back on pictures, I'm like, oh, I look pretty good there. And it's like, oh, but they hated me. They made so much fun of me.
Was that really an issue for you? Like
weight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Always feed your feelings.
So my thing growing up was
my precious.
We'll get to the soda. We'll get there one day, eventually.
Sorry,
but
for the thirst trap of me sucking on that straw.
We'll put this on OF. It'll be fine. We'll make a lot of money there.
What's OF? Just kidding. All right, sorry.
My thing was race related. So I also tried to do the self-deprecating thing, and as time went on, as I got older, as I was able to escape my very awful racist little bubble that I lived in, the more I was like, oh, they are very much not laughing for the right reason. It reminds me the Dave Chappelle, I know, is a big touchy topic for people, but one of the reasons why he matters so much to me was that he turned down so much money because of a moment where it was like, cause I don't know if do you know what the moment was that made him?
Remind me, because I remember paying attention during that time. But
so in season 3, they were doing a bit about these like pixie characters, and he's like in old school blackface Sambo, like shucking and jiving. He's doing that whole thing, and I guess a cameraman or someone was like laughing way too hard at some shit that was like, it just fell off. And so when it's like I know what you're saying. At the same time, I'm like, where's my sense of dignity with what I'm presenting?
Two things that came to mind when you're saying. First of all, I want to be careful because I don't want to equate race with weight or any other thing. But since you brought it to since you're basically just trying to connect what our experience is and how it was handled or how we chose to handle it, two things came to mind. One, there's a similar Chris Farley story, ironically. There's the famous Chippendales sketch, and only in recent years in interviews and who knows, because other people tell the story, and but David Spade talks about how Chris was really he wasn't sure what they were laughing at with that sketch, and he struggled with that. Now it's a bummer because like that takes away some of like joy that sketch provides. At the same time, like I also remember my mom at some point, I think Will Ferrell's in a sketch on Saturday Night Live and he's got his shirt off, and I remember I'm standing there watching it, we're watching it, and she goes, "Are you ready for that?" I was like, what do you mean? She goes, "Well, if you're going to be on Saturday Night Live someday, are you going to be okay? Like, taking your shirt off?" Because I've been insecure my whole life about stuff. The release valve is that me making a joke, right?
Yeah.
For myself. And therein lies the answer to the question, which is I still think getting a laugh is the most important thing. I really do. Yeah. Now, I know you can parse what they're laughing at and if they're laughing at you, and I'm not saying that the full moon sometimes doesn't hit me the right way or the wrong way, and you're laughing the wrong way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's never caught up to me. At the same time, like one of the things that has always gravitated me to comedy is if I go up to give a speech and it's serious, there's a lot more pressure because it has to be serious. Mm-hmm. If I'm going up to do something comedically, even if I go, the other day, I stumbled clumsily. If anyone in there laughed at the clumsiness, which wasn't part of what I was supposed to do, it's a win. Like I'll take that. Even if I don't hear it, like, did you have fun? Did you laugh? Like, I serve.
Yes.
I really do. Serve. Work. ER.
I hear you. And I think that is the mentality. So I've talked about this a myriad of times, and I don't know if you've heard any of the clips, but
a therapist might disagree with my choices. But
I've come to realize that, and I always, you know what? I'm gonna do this preface one more time, and I will not preface this anymore because I need to stop doing this.
Did you preface it and I missed it?
No, I'm about to preface it now.
Okay.
I understand what I'm about to say will come off pretentious.
Okay.
And it'll be the last time I fucking preface that. But I for 2025, new era, new me, baby. I understand what I'm about to say will come off pretentious, but I don't think I think you have the heart of a musician who is doing comedy. Mm-hmm. I think I have the heart of an artist, general artist, that happens to be doing comedy. The mentality, and I know this mentality of like, as long as you get the laugh, that is very much a comedian mentality. And for me, stand-up comedy, I picked that because I had the most control over it. I wanted to be, for a long time, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to direct, and I'm getting back into those things. I want to animate. That's why I'm learning how to draw. Mm-hmm. I want to do all of these different art forms that aren't necessarily funny all the time. Mm-hmm. And so the only reason I pick stand-up is because, well, I don't have to carry around equipment. I don't have to rely on other people's schedules. I don't have to deal with any. It's just me, and I can express myself. If it doesn't work, well, at least it was just me who made it not work. So I think that's why my mentality, I can't. I'll give you an example.
Control.
It's control. I was for a film.
Sorry, that was a Janet reference more than me just calling you out.
I thought you were making a Kendrick reference, and see how we have different.
Yeah,
music.
Janet Jackson back in 1991. Okay, sorry.
So I was filming the special over at Second City, and the audience that ended up showing up were and they were self-proclaimed evil lobbyists.
Okay.
It was a group of white, late 20s, early 30s. They like had a Wolf of Wall Street kind of thing. They were talking and yelling and through the whole show. I was like, this is not. And by comedy, you've seen kind of what I do and what I go for. I like some silence and some ebb and flow.
Yeah.
These people.
Especially during a special.
Yeah.
Like when I've had a chance to do longer sets, I like to mess with the energy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But it's important, I think, to
Ebbs
all
and
of
flows.
it. Yeah.
And Kyron was our host. Hold on a second. We got to do this. And Kyron was our host. And he did his best. And Kyron's a great comedian. And he did his best. Okay, guys, we are filming a thing. This is important. Okay, we want you to have fun. We are filming. Like, please be respectful. We are every time. And it didn't matter to these people. Like, they didn't, as far as they were concerned, I serve. That's your mentality. My version of that, again, you do what you do and I'll do what I do. But my version, I don't view it as that. Because of pride and because of this context with these people, I'm like, I can't. So there's a whole joke I have, a whole bit. The special was about my progress of coming from California and how I've changed. And
sweet.
And it was a whole thing. It was, it's my heart.
How long ago was this?
Summer, September.
Okay. Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, fine. I'm filming another one, so I'm working it out. But it was really important to me, and race was a big factor. And so there was a bit I have about how I learned, you can't trust every black man. And I debated in my head, like, I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable saying, because they're going to laugh. They're 100% going to laugh. But I just couldn't, my pride, my dignity, I just couldn't make this joke in front of these people at this time because
Chappelle's cameraman.
Yeah, and it's like at the end of the day, does it matter long term? Or they don't even remember that night. They were too drunk. Like, does it really matter? I don't know.
Isn't that the sad irony though? They won't remember, but you remember.
Oh, I remember.
We're right here remembering.
All the heckling, all the yelling.
Well, and some of that stuff is just performance, right? Where you remember the little things. I mean, I've walked off stage, even just there was a recent show where I know we had fun. Getting back to that thing, I was like, did we have fun? Yeah, we had fun. But you know what? There was that one thing that happened that I hated, and there was that other thing that I did that I,
Yeah.
Like it's filed. The files are getting cluttered, and it's always the negative stuff or how it could have been improved, and certainly that. I haven't filmed a special like that, but even just the extra layer of anxiousness.
Yeah.
Because you're recording. I've recorded songs. I've been in a studio, and it's awful.
You get one shot. In that situation, you get one shot.
Yeah. Or just like, even if you do multiple takes, it being in the room and the pressure with the person at the knobs who's just like, oh, they're going to have to hear this song again because I messed it up. And like, it's a mess. It can be messy.
But to transition, okay.
Anyway, sorry. No.
Yeah.
It was that. Did you end up doing it?
No, I didn't do the joke.
Okay.
I didn't do the joke. And I did it the first, so we did 2 shows.
Awesome.
I did the first show, so maybe my editor will be able to do something.
So it's not out yet, right?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, good. And I say good because I want to.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
I'm mad that I would not have, that I haven't seen it. Takes time.
Yeah, it takes time, and I'm working on my next one right now. Cool. So I'm excited for that. But I want to get to the soda, and it's going to be.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons. All right.
How are we doing on time? I'm having a good time.
Great.
Is it good? Are we doing all right?
Yeah,
are we
we're
having fun?
I'm experimenting. So this is my second time filming with this camera.
Okay.
I know that it times out at an hour, and I don't know how long the SD card lasts. So if it just stops, it just stops.
Okay.
But I'm good.
All right.
So
Eat your vitamins, kids, in case it cuts out.
So this will be the arguably touchy subject. There's a reason why I asked you about, because things like being made fun of for your weight and things like being addicted to soda and all of that stuff. The stuff. My fix.
Sweet.
I will preface by saying I'm addicted to candy.
Oh yeah, you have a bit about this.
Yeah, and
love it.
Thank you.
Relatable.
And you wouldn't, like, because I work out and shit. If I did not work out, I would gain a lot of weight. But because I'm doing the fighting and shit and I'm working out, you don't notice it. So I don't think people are taking it as seriously. When I say, like, I have a real addiction, I'm not playing around. Like, it's bad. So
But you consider chocolate separate from candy, right?
Yes, I do.
Because I think I asked you that after a show we
do.
did together.
It's still
because when anybody brings up food ever, but especially on stage, I'm always like, okay, let's find out what toppings on their pizza, like what candy are you going for? Because to me, I mean, I have a theory that everybody goes through a chocolate phase, a coffee phase, and a peanut butter phase. We don't have to get into that today. I haven't written the book yet. Now I've added a fruit phase to that.
Okay.
But that's probably for like the second edition of the book that has not been written yet. But to me, I'm a chocolate person, which I consider candy, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's very different than Swedish Fish. It's very different from, I have a song about candy. Feeling candy. Anyways, that's not what this is about. What are you promoting? What are you doing? It's not even recorded yet. Anyway, so yes, but it's very different. Like if, the difference between M&M's and Jolly Rancher is like a chasm.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
You're addicted to candy.
I'm addicted. Really bad. Really bad. Like, really, really bad.
I don't see any candy.
Because I ate it all. Do you ever see someone with leftover crack? No, it's all gone. I'm not even playing. I have a stash at Rachel's apartment.
Just in case.
Yes.
Yep. I was at my friend Julia. Shout out Julia. She thinks I forgot the soda at her apartment. And she even texted me. She was like, I forgot to give you the soda before you left. And I was like... Now, it's not a Cinderella slipper thing because Julia's just my friend. But just shout out Ed. But yeah, it's good to have soda over there. Yeah, even why I was late today because I had to have soda, and I don't have any in my fridge right now. Yeah. It's yet. It will happen this afternoon.
Do you do that thing where like, and I have the same issue with weed, where I'm like, I know I'm gonna go do a thing, so I need to make sure. Okay, do I have my little extra weed thing, and do I got my Skittles in my bag just in case? Because I don't want to be in a theater where I can't get my fix. Well,
especially since moving here, like the Midwest has a drinking culture that is completely unlike the West Coast. It's not that they don't drink on the West Coast; it's just very different. Yeah. And so I remember moving here, and there's like just soda is less readily available. Like you can get beer anytime you want, you can get alcohol anytime you want, but soda not necessarily. So I have that same anxiety of just like, all right, well, or just BYOB, or if I get invited to a party, like I bring my own soda because I can't count on anyone, and that's fine. It's fine that they don't have soda, but it's just like, if I needed alcohol, I'd be fine. But soda, I gotta prep.
I guess I wanted to make that preface because what I'm talking about here is not coming from a place of judgment. I was talking.
That's right, the touchy subject.
The touchy subject.
I had forgotten because I was so excited about talking about food. I was just like, this is going to be the greatest conversation of all time.
It's going to take a turn.
Remember salad bars? Remember Sizzler?
I have a. Okay, I'm going to give some context, and I have a question.
All right. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
So I was talking with some friends, and there's
See, deflecting.
Yeah, no, you're good. So I have some friends back home.
Mm-hmm. Riverside?
Riverside, yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
I got married in Redlands.
Hey, I know Redlands. Congratulations. Not anymore.
No, it's fine.
But,
it's fine. I wouldn't mention if it was so tragic that I was going to fall apart.
That's fair. We've had some tears on this podcast.
I've seen.
Yeah. Anyway, so
it doesn't bother me because I don't fish or hunt. Or you know what I mean? Like, and I don't need to project that. I mean, if anything, if the last 7 hours of this podcast episode is any evidence that I don't project masculine purposefully. I exude. Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
I was talking to some friends about, like, when do you say something to somebody if they're doing something unhealthy?
Oh my gosh.
And how well do you need to know that person? For example, do you know Mike Robinson?
Yes.
I love Mike Robinson.
Love Mike Robinson.
I have not even known him that long. Like, as soon as I met Mike Robinson, I was like, I love this guy.
So great.
And very quickly, I was like, I think you have a drinking problem, man. Like,
you said that out loud?
Yeah. On the podcast. We did there's an episode. I'll show you. Too. It was pretty slop. Mike, if you ever listen to this, I love you, and I think you're aware of that.
Yeah.
On the podcast.
Because he got help recently, right?
Recently,
okay.
yeah.
And he's talked about that on stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the podcast, he was not getting help at the time. And he was on the podcast. God, you could tell he was wasted. And I was like, I didn't know him that well. I had maybe talked to him. Oh my God, you're not going outside right now.
Creature shouting it out.
Being crazy.
Wait, is Creature an outdoor cat?
Well, I found him outside.
No.
Yeah, found him right down the street.
We've had cats. We turn them immediately into. Is it Rapunzel in the tower? No, protect your cats. Don't let them out into the real world. Yeah, it's dangerous out there.
I like to let them in the lobby.
Oh yeah, the foyer.
Yeah. But he was wasted, and I was like, it wasn't like I wasn't like, you fucking alcohol. I was just like, are you good? Do you think you have a problem? Because like this is really crazy. But I think that there's.
What did he say?
I can't remember. He slurred.
Okay.
He slurred some like nah, nigga, I'm fine. Some shit like that.
Yeah, deflect.
But when it comes to, because I enjoy you and I like seeing you around the scene, but I never get to sit and talk with you like this. So the idea of me one day being like, hey man, are you good when it comes to candy and shit? Like,
I know I am a little bit. This is a rough patch. That's why I'm growing my hair out. It's just my head is getting bigger. It's the hair. I'm actually very thin. I'm wearing 17 shirts.
Do you think it's ever appropriate to talk to somebody like that?
I don't know. And sorry to set up so many speed bumps along the way. Some of that is the Florida. I'll tell you, my interrupting people hate it.
Is that a Florida thing?
But this to me, this is talking where you talk and I talk and we talk and it's a. But there's some tender fragiles in the upper West Coast, Pacific Northwest that like hate it, and but it's like, how do I know when you're done? Anyways, so forgive me for setting up so many.
You're good. This is my job as the interviewer.
I think that's what makes it so difficult when it comes to things that maybe only affect one person rather than other people more. Mm-hmm. There's no amount of French fries that I can eat.
It's going to make you do...
Can we order DoorDash now that I think of it? There's no amount of fries that I can eat today that will impact our drive home tonight. Right. I mean, maybe I can't afford parking anymore because I spent it all on fries. Or maybe, you know what I mean? Or maybe, but I mean, like, whereas with drugs and alcohol, now I know caffeine for you Mormon fans out there, like, respect.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it even trickier too, because then it becomes like, well, I mean, I've made the joke recently when offered cocaine, I'd be like, I can't because my heart will explode. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that's the only reason why I turned it down, but I'm just saying like But other than those extremes, then I've never had a friend ask me, about my health.
Really?
Close relationship. I think some of that's because I have other friends that are dealing with some similar stuff, and we've had kind of like mutual conversations. So maybe I'm thinking it too much in the intervention piece. Mm-hmm. we've had conversations about getting healthier. I think I also do a pretty good job. Not that I'm bullshitting. I think I've done a pretty good job of acting like I care because I do care about getting better. I just don't. Does that make sense?
It makes.
You know what
please,
I mean? Like,
it makes perfect sense.
Like
please
as much as I jokingly like sell, like and I have a song about Taco Bell, and
it's a great. It's catchy.
I'll post Taco Bell stuff. People have even asked me like, you should get sponsored, or they're like, are you sponsored? It's like, no. It's it's my
for the love of the game.
It's my walking nightmare, waking nightmare. But
you're the God.
Well, my mom. I mean, that's the thing. I was also raised like food is love, right? Feed people. I have a friend. Shout out Deanna. Like she feeds people. That's how she shows love. Getting together with friends, going and getting side of fries with friends. That is like the greatest thing. That's the hang to me. It's not just the food, but it's there, right? It's part of that gathering, that getting together.
That's what I am.
That's age old stuff.
That's what I'm like with weed.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm more into edibles, and not just another fat joke, but But I've sat around with friends as they pass it, and it's that togetherness thing,
communal.
Like, that communal thing. Like I get that breaking bread.
Does it? And you said something that really rang true to me, which was something to the effect of, but you're not going to. What is it?
Well, I think because I've acknowledged it and not denied it when it's come up, that I know I need to do a better job.
Yeah.
I think that's what's stopped friends from really having like heart to hearts, perhaps. Do you know what I mean? Plus, it's so difficult to talk about. Like, I don't expect them to do it. Some of it is because I don't know why. I mean, I'm glad they don't, because I don't know how I'd handle it, to be honest.
Really? Is this?
No, this is fine.
Okay.
But I am Chun-Li bouncing off the walls. You know what I mean?
And it's. I think it's tough because I don't like it when someone tries to give someone advice and then acts as if it's easy. That I think is what bothers me. That is what, like, when people, like, when I'm dealing with fucking weed and candy and whatever weird sex stuff my old problems are, people are like, well, just don't do that, Aaron. It's like, you don't understand.
Yeah,
no, this is fucking hard.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, I mean, people who don't know just don't know and understand. And I'm not going to get into a whole thing about how food is drugs.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to get into the thing of like, well, when you quit drugs, you don't have to figure out a way to have it 3 times a day and not do it 30 times a day. Because I'm not comparing, contrasting. This isn't a pissing contest over who has it worse. But to each their own, and everybody has whatever struggle they have, and so it's important to I remember that. Like again, like people who have never had a problem with blank. It's not that they can't learn to understand, but you can't understand. You know what I mean? So
to make this go full circle back to comedy.
Yeah.
That bit I have about candy, about when I think I said that it was easy for me to avoid crack because crack wasn't in every grocery store.
Yeah.
And they didn't have an aisle devoted to crack.
24-hour drive-through crack.
It's insane. And so
when there's books about, I can't remember his name, but it's literally called like fat and sugar, because like there's something chemically that your body
is doing.
Not to mention, one of the worst classes and best classes I ever took was this college course at UW called the History of Consumerism. And much of that class was about what companies do with the science that they've figured out in order to promote consumption of their goods. And this wasn't primarily about food, but it was about products, right? Including food, clothing, all those sorts of things. So just the idea that like companies know what they're doing because they've learned what humans need and what switches to flip in humans.
Dubious.
And it's the reason why like, oh yeah, why is coffee make as much money as it does is because it's a legal drug. It's a stimulant. And again, our Mormon friends are applauding right now, even though I'm way off the wagon.
Yeah.
Or is it on the wagon? I can't.
You're off the wagon.
Off the wagon. Yeah. Off the wagon waving. Yeah. Wait, the wagon's going through drive-through? Bring me along. Anyways, so just like the science of it and the science of our bodies, and
they're taking advantage of that.
Yeah, and again, and it's I know the answer is discipline, right? The answer is, fighting against them. But sometimes you just, again, maybe the circle is back to fun, where I'm just like, fuck it. Like, this is what I need to get through the day for fun. It's not safe or healthy or the best choice big picture. But, I mean, that's what the now is, right? Yeah. That's what the hit and the fix is.
So,
to anything.
On my end of it, your I would say your goal is escape and fun. Mine is expression and understanding, which is why I think I approach it differently. It's like I want you to understand what I don't know how to express this feeling in a regular conversation, but if I can do it through comedy, you'll understand me. And it's so I don't know, up my own ass, I guess, to be thinking about myself in that way. I think the way your approach is very beautiful and open and giving. Mine is a weirdly selfish approach to comedy.
I think it's also, I do a lot of talking it out, and it probably drives some of my friends crazy. But like, I have to kind of talk it out. Like, I have to hear it out loud in order to kind of understand it for myself. So I'm really kind of just explaining it to myself. And so I understand that can be a process that's done on stage too.
Interesting.
Especially because the difference between what I'm doing when creating comedy and what stand-ups are doing, so much of what stand-ups are doing is like, here's a premise, I'm going to work it out on stage.
Yeah.
Most of the writing I do is at home.
How do you know what's going to be funny?
Well, you mean after I've written a song, or as I'm writing a song?
Yeah, like how do you know it's? Because I don't know. Yeah.
I'm laughing because there's a lot of times when I'll get to the end of a song and I haven't finished it, but it's like okay, this is what it is gonna be like, and I'll just go, that's the dumbest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
And then I'll kind of laugh to myself, and so that means something to me. Like, there have been songs where I'm like, oh, okay, that's it, because you laughed at yourself at the end and said, that's the dumbest fucking thing you've ever said.
What?
And then I just go and find out. And then what I'm doing on stage is kind of messing with how I perform it. Certain, whether it's like facial expressions and,
What is bombing like? Okay, well, actually, before I
know. Sorry. Do we want to finish? Do we feel like we got to a good place
with the addictions and everything?
With the I'm so fat. I'm so fat. Fix it. 2025. I should have shaved today. Maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. Posture? Is my posture bad? How's it now? Am I skinny now? Am I beautiful now, mommy?
I think I've got
Dad. Sorry.
I think I've gotten to a place of I think I understand your thought process more.
I feel so. That's the other thing. Midwest men and their fishing and hunting. They had dads, and I feel bad for them. Sometimes not having a dad is the bonus. Now, I'm not strong, but I have no one to make proud. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, wait. No. Do we feel like we got to a good place in the conversation?
Yeah, I think I understand.
Listen, I appreciate your acknowledgement of the conversation about like improvement or like nudges from loved ones.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I don't want. When you were concerned about me and with the getting punched thing.
Yeah.
I feel that way about the people I care about as well. I don't know if you've had people die in your life.
Yes.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And I know what obesity can do that can take your life way earlier than is necessary. So I would feel bad as a friend to not say something.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then and I know we have a camera on, which is crazy, but this is the only time we've ever many times we don't get to just sit.
Right. This is some of the tough things about comedy too.
Yeah.
There are people who, it's like, I like to drop anchor. I'm a drop anchor guy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that's because I haven't booked another show that night, but but some of it is because like, oh yeah, let's just hang out. This is the event this night.
And for me, but I leave early because I want to go home here.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's and again for me.
Yeah.
Right. For me. But
Yeah. So it's. Yes, I think I understand. I think more what I'm trying to get to is understanding your thought process, because for me, I understand why I'm addicted to weed and candy, and I'm fighting on some level. I get why, but when it comes to gaining weight, that's something for me I don't understand because that's not my lane.
Right.
And I think I understand it a bit better. And I think understanding is as important as the nudging.
Some of the toughest part about it is like, what is your default setting?
Mm-hmm.
What has been normal to you, not you, but what has been normal to somebody their whole lives? And for me, it does involve food. It involves bad food. And this is nothing against my mom or my upbringing specifically, but even in I don't want to say in preparation, because like we didn't talk about what questions were going to come up, but just like thinking about this conversation, one of the things that came up, actually it came up when I was like, hey, I need to stop for soda before I come over.
Yeah. Before
I come over, because I didn't have any more Pepsis in my fridge to just bring over.
Oh, they do Pepsi at McDonald's? I thought it was Coke.
No, I mean like if I had Pepsis in my fridge. I would have just brought those over. But again, I need to go buy soda after this.
Baby. I get you.
So, but no, they do Coca-Cola at McDonald's. And in fact, there are multiple people I've talked to recently that agree with me that the Coca-Cola at McDonald's specifically Pookie. Okay.
What just happened?
I flashed back to New Jack City for a second.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry. Chris Rock's character, Pookie.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I was like, I've seen the movie. I was just like, what the?
Yeah, well, no, I mean that's my pipe.
That's your pipe. That's your pipe. Gotcha.
Again, I'm not proud. These aren't good things. But it's what I've known. It's how I've lived.
Do you ever?
It's how I die.
That's scary. That
no, I know it's sad. I should not be laughing about it. I get it. I think about death a lot, and I don't just mean me, but just like all of it. And the older I get, and whatever, But,
do you ever?
So I think that
imagine like, because I know you said you got into sports, but you never played. Did you ever play sports?
I played sports a little bit, when
you're a kid,
in middle school or whatever. So,
yes.
But no, I know, and some of that is connected to that. Like if I'd have been healthier. If I'd have been more athletic or been more, it's such a longer conversation, and a lot of it just comes back to like, well, that's just what I know. Something just buzzed.
It's me.
Okay.
Me.
No, that's fine.
That's just what you know.
It was going to end.
Yeah, we're straight.
Yeah, no, some of it is getting out of your own way of what you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to make those adjustments and those improvements. I've had stints in my life where I've gotten healthier and lost weight.
Did you feel better?
Oh, yeah, I felt a lot better.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time.
It sucks.
And I say that, I mean, everybody knows that, but like what feels good right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which again, I mean, for whatever that is. And some of it is too is like, are you getting love elsewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Not to turn it into that, but it's like, oh, what hole are you filling with fries?
Yeah.
And it's usually love.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's also why this move to Chicago, like leaving a life behind, not my friends, because I still love them tremendously, but just like leaving that life behind in this quest for happiness and love and community, which if you ask me why I moved to Chicago, that's why I moved to Chicago. It was also about like, I mean, old habits die hard, right? Like I can move. There's this great SNL sketch where it's like for a travel, it's like a commercial for a travel company. It's like, just because you travel to Italy doesn't mean you leave your personality behind. Like, you still have those things. So I'm it's some of the reason why I'm a little bit more enthusiastic. I mean, I am enthusiastic about things, but it's the reason why I am kind of this way is because it's like, oh, I'm in Chicago and I'm doing comedy and I'm meeting people who are fun and funny and talented and inspiring, and I'm getting to do this. And, those are things that I had hoped that I would find here, and so, but with that, and not to be morbid, but there is this thing of just like, well, if it ends, it ends, because you made it. And I didn't make it in that sense, but just like, you're finding these happy things. You're finding these opportunities that are making you happy. And it's like, I want to live. I want to live longer, which is part of the challenge. Cause like, are you doing the things that you need to do to make that possible? And it's like that in anything, right? Like, oh, well, you want to go on tour. Well, are you submitting? Are you writing? Are you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I need to do a better job to keep this going.
I will make a deal with you if you're up for it.
Okay.
I'll offer a deal.
Okay.
I will take a picture of all of my candy that I eat throughout the day, and I will send it to you just to remind myself, hey, man, probably don't eat as much candy. And I will offer you day or night, if you want to send me every soda you drink, every hamburger, every bit of fries you can. And I'm not going to tell you what to do, by the way. It's just a way to remind you, like
a photo sponsorship.
Yeah, some accountability buddy.
Accountability buddy.
I will do that.
Accountability buddy, my favorite Happy Meal.
Is that a fuck you? Is that a thing? I was about to say, the underground eats. But I not in like a, all right, now you have to do this and I have to, but just sometimes shame.
Yeah. Although, what's funny is there's at least one comic out there right now. I won't say their name just because I don't know how they feel about it. But there is one that when I do go to like Taco Bell super late at night, I'll send them what I'm eating. But I don't think it's shame. I think it's like, check out the junk I'm eating at 2 a.m.
It's like your version of when you're gonna have a one night stand. You're like, hey, bro, check this shit out.
Yeah, right. I'm making it sound like I know what that what.
Oh, jeez.
No, it's very sweet. That's very sweet. It's very sweet that he thought.
I don't know if you're up for that.
Yeah, no, yes, of course I'm up for that.
Okay, I will. You're gonna get a lot
DMs of candy. Hell yeah, let's go.
Okay, in fact, let me show you. Hold on, let me show you something real quick.
All right,
this is by my bed.
I know. There's a famous. Go ahead and do your thing. I'll talk it out. I walked into. There's a famous story at my dentist. This is in Seattle. My first appointment there, and I know it's famous, because they retell it to other people at the dentist. They're like, yeah, this guy, he walked in his first appointment with a can of Coke. Like, I walked into the dentist with a can of Coke, set it on the side table, and was like, all right, it's time for my cleaning. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, that made sense to me. Like, oh, yeah, this is just what I do.
Fucking.
Oh, good for you with the lightly salted. These it actually tastes better than the regularly salted.
All just but like, you know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. And I know it is.
Have you done the peanut butter Snickers?
I have. Peanut butter Snickers.
I love the peanut butter Snickers squares. So good.
See, no, I'm not going to become your fella. I'm not going to engage on that level.
This is bad.
But I want to make a point because.
Yes. Sorry.
No,
sorry. I had the wrong reaction
because
I turned it into a foodie podcast. Well, a junk foodie podcast.
That's for Derek's Eats or whatever he does.
Yeah.
But I just want to make a point that like people don't realize because the way I look.
I know. Well, yeah.
People don't realize like it's really bad. So. Yeah, I'll send you pictures.
I'm here for you.
Thank you. I appreciate your support.
And I'll try to use it not as a craving.
Do you think it would make it worse?
No, I don't think. I'm not saying there isn't a worse. How could it get any worse?
Yeah.
I'm not saying because that. I mean, I guess we've kind of stumbled upon it. It's like, how do you jar the habit? How do you jar the like? This is what I do every day. Every day I do this. Like, how do you, get that out of the norm?
Yeah.
That's the toughest part, right? And so even if you send me a photo and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Here we are doing the thing again. Yeah. I have one more question. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Do you know what the last question always is?
Oh no, I've watched the show, but I'm ditzy. I can't remember stuff.
You're fine.
Not like that.
So
I haven't even had a chance to diss on.
Oh yeah, you want
to?
Wait.
No, I'm not going to diss on.
For a Chris Tranny.
There's so many comics in the city that I love so much, and it's one of the hardest things about doing wigs is booking that. Now, thankfully, it's not just me, but it's just like, oh, I love everybody so much, and they're all fun and funny.
I'm very proud of this
I'm so
collection.
bad with names. That'll be the hardest thing for me. I'll be like, oh, I know this person, but I don't remember their name. They're so funny, though. Which I know people are like, well, if you don't remember my name, then you must not care. It's like, no, I'm just
not good at
brain
names.
damaged.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, sorry. What's the last question?
So
this is the last question. I had so much fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed this.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
It was nice to get to know you.
Yeah. No, this is good.
Yeah. So you're gonna pretend that this is you 5 years from now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
5 years from now.
If you say anything you want to yourself 5 years from now, we'll make sure you're alive 5 years from now.
That's when I heard that question the first time, and again, I don't like. There's a couple of my friends who know how much I think about or talk about death. Because I usually make jokes about it or whatever. I'm always like, I've had a good run. That was what I was gonna say to your food thing of like, why do you not change? Or I mean, that's not what it was, but you know what I mean. Like, what is keeping you from changing? It's like, I've had a good run. I don't really feel that way, but at the same time, it's like, oh, yeah, it does come up in my brain. Anyway, so yeah, when I first heard this question, I was like, ew, 5 years from now, 5 minutes from now, I might not make it out of here. Right, creature? I don't believe you'd eat me.
That cats eat you when you die in your apartment.
I mean, and you know what? Back full circle. If that's what you got to do, cat.
You got to survive.
Do you?
Yeah.
Eat me. All right, sorry. Say the question, because
If you could say anything you want to yourself 5 years from now, what would you say?
You're still wearing that plaid shirt? Which doesn't even fit me as well as it used to. That's the motivation.
The shirt?
Because I can't afford to buy more shirts. I got to keep fitting in this one. Okay, I'm sorry. I want to take this serious. I mean, I am. It's all serious. Okay, well, what did I say to myself 5 years?
Yeah.
Well, 2030?
2030.
Have the Lakers traded that draft pick yet? For God's sakes. That's what I'd ask. That's what I'd say. Freaking holding on to it for what reason? Because Austin Reeves is a good number 3? No. He's a 6 man at best. Exactly. Creature agrees. Creature has all their money on the Celtics to repeat in 2030. All right. 5 years. Sorry. I do believe in this. I apologize.
I'm letting you
5
be
years
you,
from
man.
now. I mean, here's the thing. Are you having any fun? Are you still creating? Am I supposed to ask or tell?
Whatever you want, man. Whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to ask. Whatever you want to do.
Are you still filling the hole with fries? Have you found love? Have you found friendship? Have you found community? In what degree have you found those things? How do you feel about yourself? Are you challenging yourself, but are you not being too hard on yourself. Have you paid rent this month?
What is he doing down there?
Attacking the desk.
Gotcha.
Do you have a cat? You used to have cats. I know it's because the other person was better with animals than you, and you're afraid that you can't take care of a cat. Because when the poop gets matted, and you got to help them with that. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. Have they made another Tron yet? They said they were going to make a 3.
I saw that. They're going to put...
How is it? Is it good? Of course the people don't like it. The people never like it. But did you like it?
All right. You ready to take the picture?
Oh, there's a picture. That's right. Oh, no. How did my bangs look? Do you still have bangs? Do you still have hair? Okay.
All right. Take this picture.
I'm not really that vain. I think that's the other thing, too. Real quick on the heavy thing.
Okay.
I think I've gotten more joy from making people laugh than I have being attractive. Which maybe that's a terrible thing to say before we leave, but like it just kind of popped in my head, right?
Yeah.
Because some of the motivation for people is like, well,
you want to look attractive.
I gotta look attractive. To me, I've always hooked them on my personality.
And the music, man. Being a musician.
No, real quick, back to that. Can I real quick? Okay, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I always feel really bad. It's funny because some stand-ups and multiple stand-ups have been like, well, yeah, like I just go up there and I talk and like you got an instrument and you're doing all this stuff. It's like, dude, no. Like what you do with just words is way more than I'm doing with,
some chords.
Honk honk. You know what I mean? Like, because even though I don't believe my keyboards are honk honk,
yeah,
honk, I don't believe it's that. But I'm not a talented musician. Now there's some comics that go up with a guitar and like they're playing piano and it's like a whole thing and like they're talented musicians. You're a real musician. It's authentic to me. When things started to open up, because I moved here in 2020. When things started to open up, I started to do traditional stand-up and Ron Hexagon hybrid. And it just felt more authentic to me to do songs.
Right.
Anyways, so I feel bad when comics somehow are insecure about other people doing things that are somehow a bonus, when to me I don't feel that way at all.
I think they're just jealousy.
No, but that's what's so surprising to me. First of all, we're a community. We're in this together. It's us against... We're the misfits. I'm not a misfit. We're the misfits. Let's get them to laugh. Or let's get them whatever. So, yeah. So that's what also kind of breaks my heart when it's like, oh, I don't belong in this. I came here to find the people to belong with. Anyways, what were we talking about? I'm sorry. I ran over. It's time for a picture.
Yeah, let's do the picture.
Okay, bye. Thank you.